Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof? Seeing none. Public hearings, there are none. Delegations, there are none. Question period concerning the questions concerning the agenda is open now. None.
Moving into part one of the consent agenda. Moved by Councillor Heather Malott, second by Councillor Ron Dupuis. Be it resolved that items A1 to F2 inclusive contained in part one consent agenda be adopted.
Your Worship,
Yes.
I would like to sever D2 and E2. I just want some understanding of those two.
Sorry, D2 and
E2.
D2 and E2.
EC and DC. All right, under the A section, questions or comments? Under the B section, questions or comments? Under the D section, D1, questions or comments? Under the E section, questions or comments? And under the F section, where is that other one? E2. And questions or comments under the F section, please? None?
So you can read a motion because we
Is there a motion?
Well, you can read a motion just because we separate to read it.
Okay. We need a motion to sever.
No, so I'll just read it.
Good.
So, moved by Councillor Heather Malott, second by Councillor Ron Dupuis. Be it resolved that items A1 to F2, with the exceptions of item D2 and E2, contained in part one consent agenda be adopted.
All in favor? Carried.
Okay, so section, the regular agenda, so item D2 was severed, and the resolution was be it resolved that as recommended by the Corporate Services Committee, that council award the 2018 gravel tender to Carlisle Construction.
Questions or comments?
I had the one question.
You had the one question.
Yes, it was just, normally we see the other bids as well, and we didn't see them this time. I was,
Say it again, sorry.
sorry?
The other bids?
The other bids, but we didn't see them like this time.
They
I
did a
guess-
bid.
There were none. There wasn't bids. There was one bid.
They did a
There was
bid.
one bid, is that the
Yeah.
reason?
Yeah, so the staff report.
It's in the minutes.
Oh,
Shows the.
I missed that.
One submission.
3 people were requested and only one bid on it.
Okay, so there was 3 asked for that. Okay. I'm fine with that,
Okay.
yes.
And E,
So, because they won't,
okay.
because they won't be able.
All in favor? Carried.
Okay, and then E2 was also severed, moved by Councillor Ron Dupuis, second by Councillor Heather Malott. Be it resolved that bylaw number 2851/18 be adopted, being amendment to bylaw 2560/13, a bylaw to establish fees and charges for the town of Escanoma.
Questions or comments? Or
Is-
you brought it up?
Yes, is that to raise the fees and the charges?
No, this is just as part of, there was a resolution adopted by council to appoint a company called Firemark to act on the town's behalf, and that was at the May 8th meeting.
Yes.
So part of that, it was necessary to do an amendment to the tariff fees bylaw to include a clause for that service. So as you'll see in that proposed bylaw, the only way that Firemark can act on our behalf is by including that in our fees bylaw.
I see.
So there's no fee associated with it, so
Right.
in the bylaw it says current MTO rates plus personnel costs plus any additional cost to the town of Espanol. So those costs are recouped through the homeowner's policy for
Right.
that service,
Right. And there's a charge for that, right?
not to us.
They work on it.
Yeah, that's right. They work on a commission basis or through the insurance, I guess.
That's right, so it's a 30% of what they
That's
collect,
right.
but it's not from us, it's collected from the owner's
Okay.
insurance policy.
Thank you.
Okay. All in favor? Carried.
Okay, so item G1, moved by Councillor Bob Gilcom, second by Councillor Ray Dukor. Be resolved that council approve the purchase of one pumper tanker truck as quoted from Fort Garry Industries.
Questions or comments? Ron?
I guess I'm gonna ask the chief, if that's okay, your worship?
Pardon?
I'd like to ask the chief, in that, I see you've got all the specs out now. Is that all done? Now is this a formality to give it to them to build it?
Yeah, so it's all been spec'd out, the specs went out for tender, so we were sent to 3 different companies.
One reply.
Unfortunately, only one's replied back.
So have we sent them, are we telling them to go ahead with it?
One, if you approve
Yeah,
it
no, I mean,
tonight,
you're happy with that company and you're happy with
yeah,
all the specs?
yeah.
And can you tell me, this is a pumper tanker, how many gallons would this tanker carry?
1,500.
1,500 gallons?
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you, your worship.
Okay. Anyone else?
We were actually waiting to see the specs, I thought.
We're actually waiting to see what?
The specs for that tanker.
Well,
I thought that's what we were waiting for.
they sent them out, we did, I think we told them to go ahead and send it out for tender. You do the
That's
specs
right.
and you send it out, and we've got the tenders back. One group replied, okay, the other two indicated they didn't think they could be competitive.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all. You wouldn't try. Okay, I was just wondering about that.
Can I make,
Your worship?
yeah.
Councilor Green?
And I guess the Fort Garry is our preferred supplier anyway, because we've got good experiences with them, is that correct?
Again, I'm not supposed to show favorites.
Yeah.
Okay, but Fort Garry does build a good truck. We do have a couple of their trucks already in our hall. They're a very reputable company. They've been in business for 75 years. They build a reliable truck and as such, so I don't have any problems accepting their bid. If you guys feel,
We always show them down.
yeah.
All right, thank you, Mike.
Yep.
All right, all in
Sorry.
all in favor? Carried.
So the next item is, there is no recommendation, it's a report from Building Services with regards to the changes that council had requested to the building permits for siding and sliding and cladding.
Go ahead, Ron.
As soon as I started this, your worship, I'd like to thank Dan for responding so quickly. It seems like the more I hear, the more confused I get. I read this, I wouldn't want to say I get false information, but we know in society that communications is always a difficult thing to understand. I'm going to ask one question. So, you don't have to get, is it mandatory under the building code that we do? It's mandatory, not,
The Ontario Building Code is responsible for anything to do with the building envelope. Siding, cladding, whichever way you want to call it, is part of the building assembly. It's not, I don't know how I could explain this.
I know it's confusing to us.
It has to do with not just protect a building from rain. It also pertains to, in some cases, it pertains to the calculation for the amount of insulation you're putting in the wall. It's a building assembly, it's not just cladding.
One place I heard was it had more to do with fire prevention, protecting neighbors, protecting yourself, retarding time.
There
It
is
got more confusing the more I heard.
There is that as well, as we just had last year, for example, one of the houses on, I don't know if I should say the street, but
No,
one of our houses in
Yeah.
that were just put up last year, the owner didn't exactly know exactly where his property lines were. So when the property next door sold, they got a survey. Once that dwelling was positioned, he found out that the neighbor was too close to the property line. So that affected that cladding. So they had to take that off, either take the vinyl off and replace it with steel, or replace the siding off and put fire-rated drywall on and then the siding. That's what I say, it's not just,
No, it gets more confusing the more I hear.
I actually have some pictures that, just of today, somebody who put cladding or siding on a building without a permit. These are brand new people that just moved into town, and that's what happened.
Where are we looking? Oh,
The siding in this picture here, it shows, I don't know if you guys can see the rim board's totally rotten, it's gone. Part of the floor joists are gone. You can see the interior insulation exposed. And the cladding that they installed was too low and they backfilled right up against it. This was behind the cladding, the electrical that was done prior to them hiding it with the new siding, the new, what do you call it, the hardboard they had on there. That's, okay, cladding, siding is supposed to be a second layer of protection for rain. The first layer is supposed to be sealed, that is obviously not sealed. That's just another. So that's the way it was all the way around. Like I said, it's not just a matter of taking siding off and putting it on. There are other items as well, as drip edges, the requirement for
and our
flashing.
liability as a municipality, I guess, is what I'm gonna ask you then. And maybe you can't answer that in all fairness, I'm not trying to put you in corner. If we don't have a building permit and an inspection, do we become liable for this?
We could,
I don't know, because I know in some places, if you don't have a permit, you're not liable, because you haven't inspected.
Anything that's within the Ontario Building Code, and this is the way I interpret it, it's there for a reason, and it's our job to enforce it. If council chooses not to enforce certain sections of the building code, that, from what I understand, automatically makes us liable for that. So
I'm not sure.
we may end up having to maybe get a solicitor to interpret it, but.
Yeah. Was it you that arranged for that? And I saw the
Ron, hang on, please. Ken,
Well, he's still talking.
are you gonna finish?
You finish it,
Okay.
yeah, sometime.
I had one more question, and I saw the individual's name in here, and I think you had arranged for that individual to come and speak to us for training. Would it be possible to get that individual back again? Because, that was like 3 years or so ago, sometime back. I remember she was informed, but I don't remember all the details, but it was so new to us, and it is a complex issue, that hearing it once, a lot of it went by. But hearing it again after what we heard from you and everything, might sink in a little better for us. I don't know if that's possible.
I don't know.
I don't know who arranged it the last time.
I did.
Zero hours.
I could try. I'm not sure if she's still.
I would really appreciate it,
Okay.
personally.
Was that Allison Orr?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Are you done? All right, Ken?
Through the chair, Your Honor, to Dan. It sounds to me like it's flexible or subjective to the individual town. Is that right or wrong? Because some towns do not have this. Whether it was, like say, for example, we did the windows and doors, like windows and doors, or drywall or things like that. So it sounds you're saying, since it's under the building code, we feel responsible, but we don't have to necessarily be responsible. Because a person has their own responsibility of their own building to say, I should check before I do this. And if they don't, you just gave the example, well, you go there and give them an order, take the siding off or comply to this. So is it that way? Because there are a number of towns that don't have this, for instance.
Well, I could tell you that I've checked, and since the report, I've also received more. From Sault Ste. Marie to Warren, they do issue permits for siding.
Yeah, I saw that in the report. I see you have, Sawville Spanish, Walden and there. They don't have anything different than us since they're working under us.
No, they have their own bylaw.
They have their own bylaws.
Yeah,
They have
council
different.
controls their own bylaw.
Okay.
They just enforce it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone else? Councillor Bill.
And we do about 5 or 10 building or sidings a year. That's a rough range, okay? It's not a heavy thing.
No, you're right. It, just like anything else, some years you'll get a ton of sheds being installed, and other years will be the year for siding, other years will be the year for
Sure.
insulation. It varies year to year. But it's, yeah, I would say probably 5 to 10 a year.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The trend for doing the siding there now is to add insulation. Is that fair to say at the same time?
That's correct.
And that then adds another layer of complexity to make sure that both those are done right. Is that fair too?
Absolutely. There's flashing details, there's caulking details, there's, like I said, drip edges. It's important to remember as well is that the building code is not only there for the current owners, for future owners as well. And just because one owner thinks he's doing it right, he may very well think he's not doing anything wrong. But, and may not ever, anything like this particular job here, maybe he didn't know he was doing it wrong. But now it caused a lot of heartache for the current owner.
Anyone else?
I got a question. Dan, when you've been asked whether or not a permit is required for a, we'll say, siding, have you ever went and if all the conditions are proper, like, the property is so far away from the other property, like the houses are far enough away? Because I know that's a big item on there, right? It's the proximity.
Lots of times we ask that if we're there.
Right.
Sometimes people apply for permits and they drop them off at the front desk.
Right.
Then we'll do it by phone. If not, I'm a true believer in issuing a permit by hand so that you can actually see yourself what's going on and verify. There's a lot of unhidden issues that it's hard to sit in front of somebody and say, did you do this?
Well,
Every job, every home is different, so we always try to go there, issue the permit, hoping that the client is there at the same time, and then we'll verify all the items that we've been speaking of.
Right, in this case, yes, but there is cases where you don't even have to go, like you don't often go, it's a new house or something being built and that, or it's a new one being repaired, we'll say, because of some damage the wind had done or something. And so when I'm asking in that light.
Siding is actually part of the occupancy permit.
Yes.
So we do go, for sure.
No,
That's
I
part of
know
the
you go, but I mean, you're not there babysitting is what I'm saying. So
No.
you go, you look, see how the job's going, you check your side-to-side movements up and down, whatever, right?
Well, we go prior to the installation, and then we go.
And then for the final.
Yeah, if everything looks okay, that's it, there's 2 inspections. If
Okay.
not, sometimes there's more. Like I said,
Yeah, it could be 3 even, eh? Yeah.
Okay, Bill, we got the last
Thanks.
question, then we're gonna take a vote.
Well, I want to make some comments, okay? And that is, for a few permits, maybe a couple of days of work, we're gonna the way we've set this up, we're gonna get less revenue. Our costs don't change because you're still paying a salary for somebody, and we're increasing our liability because now we're not asking for permits, and if they're not done and you have something like that, we're much more likely to have to pay the bill. That's just a comment on
So based on what Bill just said, that kind of leads right into what I was going to state is I think we probably, would anybody like to be entertained in motion to revisit this and rescind this? I wasn't at the last meeting. I'm not going to comment on why we would do this without the staff report and so on and so forth. But I would be willing to put forward a motion to reconsider council's move at the May 22nd meeting. And I don't know how to word it, so you can,
I would suggest we just use the item from that.
oh, okay,
So-
go right ahead.
Survey,
So that item,
14,
If you don't mind writing it.
did it, or didn't. Give her a couple of questions, so we just,
Oh, okay.
so that's about 75% communities do it.
So, do it much faster now and readable.
and I just rewrote item G14, otherwise you have to rewrite the whole.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, sorry. No worries. So- Thank you.
So there's a notice of motion on the table submitted by Councillor Bob Yocum, seconded by Councillor Bill Foster. Be resolved that, or notice of motion, be it resolved that item G14 from the May 22nd, 2018 council meeting be rescinded.
All in favor?
No discussion?
No,
No, not on the notice of
It's a notice? Oh,
Yeah.
it's, oh, sorry, I thought it was.
Yeah.
All in favor? Carried.
So, Councillor Yocum, did you want to
Yep.
move that this be done tonight?
Yep, please,
Okay,
may as well just carry right on, especially when we've got building inspector here. Building line. Thank you.
Okay, moved by Councillor Bob Yocum, second by Councillor Bill Foster. Be it resolved that item G14 from the May 22nd, 2018 council meeting be rescinded.
All in favor?
Discussion?
Discussion, go ahead.
I'd just like to comment about what Councillor Foster said, and I know there's, I don't know, 5 or 10, and it can vary from one year to the next, of course. But what we were looking at here is trying to alleviate some of the steps for people in the community. And I know it cuts into revenues a little bit, but we shouldn't be basing everything on revenues. I know we have to operate the town as a business, and I understand that. The other thing, I was hoping it would free up our building department, because I know sometimes they're quite busy, and I know Dan has some big projects this year. And down the road, it would have been nice if maybe we had freed up the building department with a little bit fewer exemptions here on some building permits, and the small amount of revenue, I don't think would have affected us that much. And that was part of the reasoning behind this, Your Worship.
When I hear the building inspector talk about liabilities toward the town, I don't think that that's fair either.
No, I don't.
So I don't want to push, I'm not for alleviating that, and there's all kinds of bad things can happen, so I would choose not to. Anyone else?
I'd like to comment, and you're right, Your Worship, and that's why one of the questions I asked Dan was if there was liabilities. Now, I'm prepared to rescind this tonight, but I'm also prepared to ask, and I have asked Dan, if we can get that lady back here to explain a lot of things on this, and see if we do have liabilities. I mean, she seems to be very knowledgeable, she works for some engineering firm or something, I believe, and I would be interested in sitting down with her again, and after we hear more, and maybe gather more information, we can revisit it again, depending on what we find out on liability.
But we're going to rescind it now?
Well, I don't know, you're gonna have a vote now.
Yeah, all right. All right, all in favor of this motion? Carried.
So we have an item, or an add-on, it's G3, and I think once we read the resolution, Cynthia can probably clarify it, but moved by Councillor Ray Dufour, second by Councillor Bob Yocum, be it resolved that whereas pursuant to Section 40 of the Police Services Act, the town of Westmoreland is required to submit to the Ontario Civilian Policing Commission the OCPC, a proposal for the disbandment of the Eskimo Police Service, being the proposal. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council for the Town of Eskimo authorizes the submission of the proposal to the OCPC pursuant to Section 40 of the Police Services Act.
Questions and comments?
Is that just another step in the formality of moving?
Yes,
Cynthia can probably explain.
yeah, it is. It's just a formality. You know, we've already adopted a resolution to accept the OPP crossing and the bylaw, and now we need a resolution to authorize the brief be submitted to the OCPC.
Are you good at jumping through all these hoops?
Get there.
There's no time frame on this, eh?
Yes, we're trying to get our application in by Friday.
Okay.
Okay.
Excellent work.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, information, no. Conference and conventions, none. Mayor and council reports and announcements. Bob?
Oh, thanks, Your Worship. I've got nothing except a reminder that on this Thursday night and afternoon, actually, 3 to 5 and 6 to 8, there is a public information section on the reconstruction of this section of Highway 6. Probably a lot of people will be interested to see how they're going to approach that. Thank you.
Anyone else? Ray?
I'm good.
Ron?
A few things, Your Worship. I attended the candidates' night prior to the provincial election, which we all know the results of now. I thought it was important, just for the simple fact that all the candidates were there for the various parties, and not knowing who the outcome would be, the lucky winner. We have to deal with whoever's in there, and that was one of the reasons I went. I thought it was important to listen to them. And I know you were at this one, Your Worship, and we both got wet. The tennis court bench dedication
Yes.
from Mrs. Daphne Allen on behalf of her husband and her son passing away. And I must say, if anybody hasn't seen these benches, they really are nice, and I'm sure
Oh,
she
yeah, they're
paid
beautiful.
quite a bit of money for these things, and they're great. Got this new pickleball thing going on there. Free lessons if anybody wants any from Mrs. Allen. Seniors luncheon today. 3 old fellas attended. Myself, Councillor Ken, and Ray. He didn't eat, we did. Anyway, and the last thing was the newsletter, and I'd like to thank our staff. I liked it. I thought it was great. It was very explanatory to our people. I just have one question. With all the capital projects, would the fire truck not be a capital project?
It's actually in next year's budget.
Oh, and the fire hall? It's in this year's
It's not
budget.
in
It
that-
is.
it's not
Yeah,
on
it
this
is. So it's under this year, but the truck is next year?
Yes.
Okay, no, I wondered if that's what it was. I just want it clarified for my own. But a very good job. Thank you.
Heather? Ken?
The Seniors Appreciation Day did go very well, and I believe tomorrow there's a safety recognition for our town employees,
Yeah.
barring rain, I guess, but it's at noon at the ball fields. Thank you, Your Honor.
Go ahead, Bill.
I saw on the news there that the rail line that's feeding Domtar was maybe announced a shutdown of that. I think the town should send a letter off to Domtar asking if there's anything we can do to help them. Help Domtar.
Should just mention it includes, maybe include econ.
Yeah,
They're
and
affected too.
ECOM, yeah.
Should we ask them, or should we send a fire letter off to the provincial government, maybe, Your Worship?
I think,
They're the ones that they're looking for funding, or maybe that be federal?
well, they're looking for both federal and provincial, but Domtar may have some things they may specifically ask us to
Certainly
do.
never do any harm.
Okay, based on that, we can decide whether or not we can do something, but I think we should at least fire off a letter to the 2 affected facilities, okay? We have a vested interest. I know for the mill, this probably has a fairly significant impact because you're bringing in a lot of chemicals, fluids, okay, and if you have to start trucking stuff like that in, it's
All
gonna
that
really
extra roundwood,
have a, yeah.
a lot of rail cars filled with roundwood.
Yeah, so it has a significant impact, I believe. So I think we should be at least asking them, there is, maybe they have something specific they would like us to do.
All right. Future council and committee meetings. Meeting of June 19th, 2018, council meeting, for community services, I'm sorry, at 3 p.m. And regular meeting of council of June 26th, 2018 at 7:30 p.m. And this meeting is,
We do have to go on camera
yes, we do have to go on camera, I was gonna mention that.
for an update on appendix F.
The regular portion of this meeting is adjourned. All in favor? Carried.